maybe a bit to the browser, back and forth. So maybe it will be easier. Okay. Good. See, recording started. I guess we should start. Again, at the beginning, it will be a bit introduction, so people can just join a few minutes later. We won't lose anything. So, do we have anyone who haven't participated yesterday in intro to certification workshop?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just then remind you a little bit that so welcome to Power Platform Upskill program, which is designed together by Microsoft CE and by us from One Click Factory to help partners within multi-country region in Microsoft terminology to get this Power Platform competency and to get certified, to prepare the solution and start maybe a new business line or to strengthen what you currently deliver to your customers. And yep, so as I mentioned a bit yesterday, so there were lots of applications. We are happy to see that, but unfortunately, the program was designed in such a way that we'll go into a deeper kind of one-on-one engagements later in this program, into one-on-one consultations and hands-on trainings to prepare fully for certification. So Microsoft has selected 10 partners from the region, but we just discussed and how we can give at least some value to all others who are interested, and we are inviting everybody to participate in all these one-to-many workshops which we are running this week, and also we'll share the materials like assignments which selected partners will be working on for certification and later reviewed together with me. So everybody else can also work on those materials, just we won't be able to check them together. Okay. Somehow strangely it shows. Okay, now it's better. So my name is Tautvydas Dagys. If it's hard to pronounce, you can call me Tony. And I'm in One Click Factory. I'm leading Power Platform and CRM team. And One Click Factory overall is focusing mostly on Microsoft Dynamics products. We started from 2009. And last year, we started CSP distributor activities in the CE market. And also, we started mine team where we are supporting partners with the Power Platform and CRM activities in various areas. Myself, I'm coming from technical architectural background, but I was also doing the business development, also worked for Microsoft 7 years as the technical evangelist. So kind of have touched both sides, technical and business side. Yep, and just a small reminder. So in all this Microsoft partner ecosystem, One Click Factory works in such a way that we are not selling services or Microsoft licenses directly to customers. We are just supporting you as partners in licensing, in gaining new competencies, or in all set of technical services like architectural consultancies, development, support, troubleshooting, and many other possibilities. Okay, so today we will be going straight to licensing. It will go into two parts. One part will be more kind of our view onto a bit of summarized licensing summary, let's say, for you to have a easier big picture how it distributed, how it works. And then second part will go into details, which will go through just Microsoft official slides. And then we can go into smaller pieces of all these parts. And yep, my colleagues already mentioned that it will be recorded. Recording already started. So if you have questions, so please raise your questions in chat, and then or express verbally. And then we'll have Q&A as well, but we can discuss and we can stop and discuss some details on the line. Yeah, so with this presentation, I don't see chat. So Augusta, if you will be able to help me to vocalize the questions, it would be really great. Yep. Another thing is that licensing is like a legal thing, and there are many small pieces and details, and I might not be able to answer everything or to right away to think of all the possible situations and nuances. So if there will be some more complex, so then we can just collect the questions and come back to you later, or even we should. Sometimes it's unclear from documents itself how to interpret things. So again, we are going for Microsoft support to get those clarifications, especially when it's unclear. Okay, so again, traditional reminder about Power Platform, that there are somebody who haven't participated yesterday. So there are those major building blocks. Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents as the front end to the user and the main capacities. And then there are supportive capacities and additional resources like artificial intelligence builder, Power Platform portals, data connectors, which allows to connect to all different data sources. And then the big you could say it's product, Microsoft Dataverse, which used to be called Common Data Service, but you cannot purchase it separately. It always comes included in other licenses, but itself it's a huge technical piece of software and service. It's big. It's not just a database. It's a big data layer, which is inherited from long history of CRM development, and it has so many features inside. Next to just data storage, it has all security mechanisms, API coverage, and many other things. Import, export, Excel export, duplicate detections, business logic, and many other things. So, but it's not sold separately. It's included in other products. Now, looking into licensing, into all the products, every major Power Platform product has its own pricing, but Power BI falls a bit apart because it also has a separate licensing descriptions, definitions, and licensing documents. And in this session, we'll be focusing on Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents, because it's kind of described and defined as one thing in one licensing document, and all the things are interconnected and also include each other in its own package. And that's why we have prepared this summary slides to understand what includes what. Okay. As I mentioned, it's kind of licensing is like legal area, so keep all this content as just reference only, and always refer to official and latest Microsoft licensing document when you are doing actual sales to the customers or preparing offers. Of course, our team is here to support you as well when needed, and if we can't support, so we can then reach out to Microsoft again to resolve that concrete case from your side. Yep. Also, same as technologically, all the services are changing so fast. There are new things appearing, something disappearing, getting deprecated, and etc. Licensing is changing as well. So every month there is some kind of change to licensing, or even several times per month. But normally there is a monthly document release, and I'm referring to this Microsoft Power Apps and Power Automate and Microsoft Power Virtual Agents licensing guide. It looks like this. So latest releases from April, and you can always download it via this link. Maybe I'll just paste the link to the chat. I'll check if there are no questions. This is for licensing documents. Okay. Okay. See excitement about certifications. Good. Those who are here for planning to go for certifications, keep attention as well, especially on conceptual areas, because some of those conceptual licensing areas might be included in exam as well. Yeah, so this is this downloadable document as the main source, the primary source. Then there is online documents. Sometimes on change it's a bit lagging, but it has more kind of samples, descriptions, and etc. And as I mentioned, every product has its own pricing website, landing page, where you can see all the main offers, add-ons, and yeah, let's check Power Apps. Yeah, so you can see the main plans, and you can see the basic description about capacities, and then also add-ons which are needed if you are exceed something, and etc. So it's also good reference to keep it. Okay. Now the summary part. First, it's always a debate about whether we should go for a full Power Apps or Power Automate license, or we are okay with a Office 365 license, or if you have Dynamics 365 business applications, it also includes some sort of Power Platform capacities. So, and so let's get a bit deeper into that. And I guess when you are doing sales and when you are discussing it with customers, it always come to the picture, because, hey, look, what we have, it might be enough. and we are good. We don't need the full license. Or other scenario, usually what happens, of course, as I already mentioned and yesterday, that Power Platform is really tightly connected with the Dynamics 365 CRM family of apps, because it's really model-driven apps are connected through that. But usually what happens from the Business Central developers or teams or finance and operations teams, we feel that sometimes they don't know that all this Power Platform capacity is included into their current licensing. Of course, there are lots of caveats, and let's try to discuss them through, because, of course, that's why the licenses are limited. In order, if you want to get full power, full potential, you should go for a full license. That's natural business, of course. And I'm trying especially to emphasize that when you are going from Microsoft 365 licenses and Office 365 licenses, you are getting limited and downgraded functionality of Power Platform. When you are using Power Platform within Biz Apps, Dynamics Biz Apps, you are getting just limited. So it's kind of technically it's full the same platform. It's just limited in how you can use and where you can use and etc. Of course, there is differences between enterprise and professional and team member licenses. We'll check that later. And yeah, we can quickly see the comparison. The first glimpse that Microsoft 365 don't include full Dataverse. It has a special version, downgraded version. It is Dataverse for Teams, and it has many functions just disconnected. I don't know that 100% how it's technically built, but from what I see when I'm going to administration panel and everywhere, and how we can see, I fully assume that it's kind of runs on the same engine as full Dataverse. Just many functionalities are disconnected, and you can utilize this Dataverse and Canvas apps only from directly from Teams. You can't use them outside of the Teams or publish outside of the Teams and etc. So there is a difference. Of course, probably if you are Office 365 like modern workplace partner, so most probably you were already using SharePoint as the data store in this licensing scenario. So today you already have a decision to make whether still go with the SharePoint or switch to a Dataverse for Teams. Now, from the assets or presentation layer, we have in this Office 365 scenario, we have Canvas apps and Cloud Flows only. Now with the Biz apps, we have full Dataverse. We can do Canvas apps, model-driven apps, portals, and Cloud Flows. With a full Power Apps and Power Automate license, we can just, without any limitations, we can use Canvas, model-driven portals, Cloud Flows. For desktop flows, which is robotic process automation scenario, there is a separate additional license. Okay, so this is a set of all resources which we are kind of combining all together just to get when it comes to licensing. So the main assets we have Power Automate Cloud Flows, Desktop Flows. Yep, I'm combined all those. Those are not official logos. I combined them myself. Then we have connectors. Connectors are used by Canvas apps and Power Automate flows. We have standard connectors, and we have premium connectors and custom connectors in the same category, because in the licensing they go always together. I have the separate slide about that. Now, as a new special category of custom connectors via Azure APIs only. So this is a special case for Teams. We will see that in the summary slide. When we are able to create custom connector to our API, which is hosted on Azure and exposed via Azure API Management Service. And everything is running in the same tenant. So that's the only way how to utilize this, and this is a special exception for Dataverse for Teams or Power Apps for Teams scenario. Then we have full Dataverse, and we have downgraded Dataverse for Teams as the separate items. Then we have API capacity or request capacity. I'll explain it a bit later, but in general, it has the allocation for each user, how many API calls the user can make per 24 hours. Yep. Then we have chatbots as part of Power Virtual Agents service. Then we have on-premise data gateways, which is just directly connected to connectors for Canvas apps and Power Automate flows. What it allows to do, it allows us to connect to on-premise or, I don't know, cloud-hosted environments, not Microsoft SaaS environments, environments which are not exposed to internet. Then by installing the gateway on those servers, we are able to open the channel for our connectors to talk to on-premise data sources. It could be your SQL databases, one of very common scenarios. It could be also, I don't know, your Business Central on-premise installation, which is not exposed to internet. Then you can access it via APIs, which normally are not visible to the public internet. And so this is possibility to access on-premise data, on-premise systems from Power Platform. Then we have Canvas apps and model-driven apps, those two main flavors. If those who haven't attended last time, model-driven apps is something like CRM, and they are built on top of Dataverse. It's only possible to use model-driven apps on top of Dataverse. And then Canvas apps, which are primary mobile, but it could be also used through the web, where you have to design all your user interface yourself, but then you have tons of connectors to connect to many different data sources. Then we have Power App Portals, which is a capability to expose your data from Dataverse to external world, like all type of self-service portals, like customer self-service, partner self-service, vendor self-service, or anything else. It also, there's specific scenario for internal users. I'll come back to that later. And then we have AI Builder, Artificial Intelligence Builder, which is included by default only in one licensing. Now, so let's begin from usage rights. And usage rights, Microsoft names that when it allows to use Power Platform for Microsoft 365, Office 365, or Dynamics 365 users. So you own that license, and you get usage rights for a Power Platform as well. So let's see that those in the diagram, the left and right part of that. So first, totally new addition, new announcement from I think from March this year, is about that Power Automate desktop is available to download for free for Windows users. So it doesn't matter what kind of Windows license you have, you just download and you can use it for your individual use. You can use it, of course, for business, but I mean individually without connecting with other colleagues and etc. So I have this a special mark here on each part, what means that it's not included fully. So limitations for this Power Automate for desktop is that you download, you work only alone yourself, you can't share, the cloud is not, you can't initiate this robotic process from the cloud flows and etc. It's more like a individual productivity tool to automate your daily tasks. I don't know, every day you want to send some greeting emails, I don't know, to your birthday greetings to your colleagues in the office. You have the Excel prepared, which lives on your desktop, and you can prepare such RPA robotic process, which will take the Excel, will check the dates, will open your mail client, and will send the email to all your colleagues congratulating the birthday man or woman. Yep. So this is it, and of course you have to launch it manually because the full version full version could be initiated from cloud flows as well. So this is totally new thing. Now selected Microsoft 365 and Office 365 plans. So now before, I think last year, I'm not sure when it was announced, all this Teams integration, we had only this part. It means we were able to create Canvas apps. It's full-featured Canvas apps, that's fine. Cloud flows. We had only standard connectors. And of course, everywhere, I think we are getting this API capacity. That's, I will come to that later in the detailed explanations, but now just see that almost everywhere the API capacity is included. Now, the new scenario which we are getting is that we are getting Canvas apps, we're getting Cloud Flows, we're getting Power Virtual Agents, and we are getting this special Azure hosted custom connector, which actually opens lots of connectivity things, because with this scenario, you are more or less locked in the Office services. You can't access databases, you can't access business apps, and etc. In this scenario, you can build your own code, which of course then it should be programmed as the Pro code, but then it opens much more capabilities. And we are getting Dataverse, which works as relational database compared to SharePoint lists. You have relationships, you can export, import data, you can model things, and you can utilize many other Dataverse capabilities. Of course, it's limited to 2 gigabytes of size, but you can get like thousands of them because one Dataverse for Teams environment is directly connected to your team. So you can create new environment for every team you have in your teams. Okay. So always, especially in this office scenario, it's always a discussion between standard and premium connectors. So then maybe let's take a look into them on web. Okay, let's just. Okay, so just to understand a bit, this is URL where all connectors are listed. There are special icons which shows that can be used in flows, Power Apps, and Logic Apps from Azure. And it means that Lightbulb is about the preview stage. Connectors are directly from Microsoft or non-Microsoft third parties, but all of them are certified, published officially, and etc. So the standard, we have different of course, all the Office 365 services first, because this extension primarily is to extend your Office apps like SharePoint, like Teams, and etc. We can access Azure Active Directory for users, authentications. We can get things like content conversion, for example, to do translations. Oh, no, sorry, this is not translation. Then customer voice. We can do all the Excel things hosted in Excel Online, hosted on OneDrive. We can access to FTP servers, like Google services. What else? Microsoft Teams, of course, to do. Okay, translator deprecated, so things are changing very fast. There's a new translator connector. You can get all Office 365 users, check who is the manager of the user, and etc. Outlook. Outlook, Outlook Personal Outlook, Office 365 Outlook, connectors back to Power Apps and other services, and etc. SharePoint, of course. Now, with the premium connectors, as I mentioned, the main benefit we are getting that we can access the databases, different types of databases. Also, we are getting this gateway to connect to on-premise databases and more advanced Azure services, like business apps through through Dataverse. The connector itself was still used a common data service, and it was renamed, I think, just a few weeks ago. Yeah, just you can explore later yourself, but as I mentioned, the main benefit is databases and business apps and more advanced Azure services. Okay, let's take a look if we have anything. Okay, question was, do we have to know all the prices? No. Prices really, it's more the concepts. The concepts like this concept, for example, that you have only standard connector included in your Office license, like premium connector is not available. Such model could be in a questions. Later we'll come to per app licensing, but it's more like to know that something is included and how it's limited, and then what's kind of not included, and etc. That's the main part of this summary, the beginning of the summary. Okay. Good. So next thing, it was standard and premium connectors. And then there is a big table explaining in which Microsoft and Office 365 licenses what is included. So most of the licenses is included, like Power Apps, except like F1, Windows 10 Pro, all the other Windows licenses. And then, yeah, the same with the cloud flows. Desktop flows are included in this limited capacity for subscriptions, which has Windows. That's the main idea of this new announcement. When you can download your Power Automate desktop for your Windows machine. And then the Dataverse for Teams, a special case, and virtual agents for Teams. Again, more or less the same subscriptions except Windows. And it's also not included for A1 plans, as I see. Okay. Now, the right part of the diagram, it was about the business applications, Dynamics. In Dynamics world, we have two major blocks in pricing and in the costs and etc. So it's enterprise business applications, and then there is professional and also team access, which is the lowest tier for Dynamics licenses. So now if we go to enterprise applications, we'll have the list later. So more or less we get the full capacity, as I mentioned. Just Mark says that we can use only in the context of technically we have it full, but we have limitation. We have limitation that it can be used only. You can't build your new application, totally unrelated thing to Dynamics. So if it Canvas app, so it have to consume your CRM or your Business Central data in somehow. If it's Power Automate Flow, Cloud Flow, then again it should be triggered from Dataverse where Dynamics apps living, or triggered from your change in finance and operation database. And the same with the model-driven apps. It should be connected to the business logic of what you have purchased in Dynamics 365 Enterprise. For example, you have Enterprise for sales, some sales extensions, etc. It would be valid for usage of this license in this way. If you are going to build totally unrelated thing, then you should go for a full license. So this is not technical limitation, but it's more kind of what you can do with it. Now, professional and team member applications, they don't include Power Apps. There is some confusion. I'll try to explain that, but so normally it don't include custom standalone apps. You can use only Power Automate to do some automation and use flows if you are professional or team member. Of course, you can access all data sources and etc. This is not limited. The still requirement that it should be in the same context of your business logic. If you have customer service, then it should be related to customer service. And these are the list of licenses. This is coming from official document, but those yellow marks are my interpretation for this, because I can't say that it really included, because it included in a very limited way. And the only scenario I can think of, because it says that you can't use a standalone Canvas apps or Power model-driven apps or anything. The only thing I can come up scenario is that if you embed Canvas app within your Dynamics application, then most probably it will be valid scenario. Otherwise, if it's a separate app built in the Canvas or separate model-driven app, then it's not eligible. And you see that the difference. We have sales enterprise, sales professional. We have service enterprise, service professional. Field service is only enterprise level. Project service automation is the old thing, so probably you won't be able to sell it as a new thing. Finance, supply chain management, commerce, human resource, and Business Central comes as enterprise, and then operations activity and Business Central team member as the lower tier, and Power Automate, included everywhere. Now, let's go to standalone licenses. So, standalone. We'll get into more details for the differences per app, per user plans later. But now, what it includes, so it's the same. So of course, it's full capacity, full Canvas apps, full model-driven apps, unlimited everything, Power Apps portals, all sorts of connectors, full Dataverse, and etc. Just Power Automate with a exclamation mark. What means that in this scenario, you can use Power Automate only as the supportive for your apps. It should be called from your app, or it can be triggered from your app. You can't do independent automation or independent integrations or something unrelated to these apps. Let's say you can't, you get this full Power Apps license, and I don't know, you build your own let's say time tracking application for your company, which stores data in Dataverse, let's say, but additionally you want to automate some, I don't know, invoice processing for your SAP. Then this license is not valid. You have to get the full Power Automate license for that. This capacity included only to support your apps. Power Automate per user, per flow plans, of course, it gets unlimited Power Automate cloud capacity, all possible connectivities, all connectors, etc. Also the Dataverse capacity. But it does not include robotic process automation. Yep. So this is old plan, because robotic process automation and desktop flows is very fresh addition to Microsoft family. It was released only last year, and all the plans updated also just not a while ago, the pricings and etc. So in order to create robotic processes, in order to launch them in attended way, you have to get Power Automate per user plan with attended RPA. Yep. So in order to do robotic process automation, you have to get a new license. It's not additional license. It just instead of regular Power Automate license, because it includes all the cloud capacity as well. You need just to replace the one. If you had the traditional Power Automate license and you want to do robotic process automation, you have just to replace it. It's more expensive. Power Virtual Agents. One more thing, what I haven't mentioned. In this scenario, there is only one place where Artificial Intelligence Builder is included by default in the base plan. Otherwise, Artificial Intelligence is purchased as capacity add-on. Power Virtual Agents. Yeah, this is again, it's not included in any other plan except for specific version of Power Virtual Agents for Teams in Office, but you can run it only in Teams. With this Power Virtual Agent, you can create your chatbots, which you can host in the websites, the public websites, in third-party chat applications, of course, in Teams as well for internal intelligence, but it can be exposed to any external source. And then Cloud Flow's capacity just to support those bots there. Okay. So
sorry, we have few questions to answer. If
okay.
you can see, there is one from Vaidas and one from Volodymyr.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Possibility to create a model-driven app on top of Dataverse for Teams. At the moment, no. But it seems that Microsoft is moving towards that way. At the moment, it's only Canvas apps. The one new thing or indication, which of course the team kind of tells that yeah, they're looking into that, but one indication is that Center of Excellence kit, which is itself is the model-driven app, it's now supported on Teams version as well. So at some point it probably will, but not at the moment. What would be the difference between traditional PA license and Power Automate? Traditional Power Automate license and Power Automate license attended. The difference is that we can just go to pricing. Yep. So this is standard per user plan. This is per user plan with the attended RPA. So it has everything what's included here, plus you can build robotic process automations, and it includes artificial intelligence builder. And you can run one attended process at a time with this license. So it just adds more capability, everything related to robotic process automation.
May I ask in person?
Yeah.
So basically we're saying that this per user plan this is basically Microsoft Flow. And then
Yes.
with unattended, that would be unattended solution for like Microsoft Flow plus unattended solution on top of Microsoft Flow. And
Yes.
then unattended, that would mean, and this is a thing, I don't know, that I struggle to understand because, unattended, it means, it can be run, unattendedly without user interaction. But those cloud flows that we, Microsoft Flow or it's Power Automate, you can schedule them. So, and it's really, maybe it's a dumb question, but what is what additional functionality the users are getting with this unattended plan?
Actually, it's attended plan.
No, yeah, I know. But then on top of that, you can buy unattended.
Yes.
Which is
okay.
kind of a very confusing.
Yeah. Okay. So there is all section about all this RPA thing. I'll maybe let's move your question a bit to a later stage when I'll be talking about this part. And just a small suggestion when I think it's better to as a keyword to keep RPA, robotic process automation, because attended and unattended, it's a bit confusing part. So this is Microsoft Flow, let's say the old Flow. And this is robotic process automation thing. So that's the main difference. Standard flow and robots. Now Microsoft calls it cloud flows and desktop flows. Just unify. Okay. Okay. Also, what would be the of unattended power? Yeah. Okay. So we'll come to that. Good. Just getting back. So now I finished with my summary part, and now we're switching to official Microsoft slides, which in some places I also extend a bit to put more explanations. Okay, now it goes first through standard plans, and then it goes to usage related things from Office and Dynamics. So standard plans, Power Apps standalone, it's Power Apps per app plan and Power Apps per user. Reference prices are those. Of course, you always check what's current prices, and also there are always, not always, from time to time there are some special campaign offers with the discounts and etc. Okay, so these plans, there are two ways how to purchase the full Power Apps license. So most probably first, if it's totally new deployment, new thing, new customers still don't fully believe in Power Platform, it always possible to start with this Power Apps per app plan, which costs just $10 per month for one user. So it's kind of per app, but it's also per user. So they say confusion per user here. So it's only user per month, and here it's user and also limited to an app. So there is a bit more narrow scenario. Of course, if you deploy like 5 apps from the beginning, then of course it's better to use all the unlimited. It will be easier to maintain and forget about that. If you want to go gradually, you can start with this per app plan, which will require a bit of extra maintenance, but yeah, it will cost less for your customers. Okay, and there is a special thing. So licenses user for each app they run. There is a special details that app plan entitles license user to run 2 apps, Canvas or model driven, and 1 portal. So 1 app actually means 2 apps plus portal. Let's get back to this in examples in the next slides. And then this is let's say, most natural license, where you just give it to one user, and user can run as much apps as they want. If in the company you deployed 5, 10 different small canvas, big model-driven apps, and etc. portals, so there will be totally no limitation, and it will be just standard license for that user, same as Office or Dynamics license. So now more details about this per app plan. And again, those who are going for certification, pay attention here, because this also might be a question, because especially how it's calculated between environments and etc. Because this is more logical, not the price, but the logic, how it's being distributed and calculated. Okay, so as I mentioned, this per app means 2 custom apps and 1 portal, no other limits. Nuance is that we are not assigning this license to users, but we are assigning this license to environment. Yeah, we have hierarchy. First, it's tenant, and then environment. Yep. We are assigning it to environment, and you can visualize it as app pass. And user, when he starts using the application, it consumes 1 pass, and then that pass is assigned for that user. Okay. There are a couple of notes from licensing document, that the embedded Canvas apps, which you can embed inside of model-driven app, it's not counted here, so that's nice, because sometimes the embedded Canvas app could be very small, tiny thing, just as a small control for 1 field in the model-driven app. Then this is a bit under the question mark. So probably if you would come to this situation, it might need to consult with Microsoft support here, because what it tells, let me get back. Yeah, so in the licensing document, in the beginning, introducing this license, it says that those 2 + 1 is for 1 scenario. It means theoretically, it doesn't mean that you can create totally unrelated apps, but it's more about something which like very natural scenario model-driven app, and the mobile application as the small complementary to that model-driven app, plus portal, which is external to your customers, let's say. And this combination of these 3, they form 1 business scenario. And here it says a single user might be covered with multiple per app licenses to allow the user to use multiple solutions targeted at various business scenarios. So if you're using all those 2 + 1 for 1 scenario, then it's okay. But if it's kind of 2 separate scenarios, then it's kind of shady. And it says that you kind of supposed to get the separate licenses. But actually, I'm not sure how to implement that technically, because technically it says that you assign the license to an environment. You share the app to the user. User starts using it, and the license is consumed. And if another app is coming from the same environment, kind of there is no technology to compare if it's same scenario or not. So it's kind of probably some gray area here. So be careful and just consult on case by case here. Yeah, so I mentioned that it's assigned to environments, not to individual users, and individual users are getting it when the app is shared to them. And there are some special case for educational customers where we have to again enforce it in a soft, not hard methods. Okay, there are a couple of examples illustrating how those licenses are distributed per app license. Yeah, we're still talking about per app license. And this example is for single environment. So we have in one environment 3 apps. I just told that this is Canvas, this is model driven, this is Canvas. And we have 2 users, Alice and VA. And let's see the scenario. Alice uses the creators shared 2 apps with Alice, app 1 and app 2, different type, doesn't matter. And by start using them, she consumes 1 license. Now VA got shared 1 app, so again he's consuming 1 license, 1 app pass, we can say. Now a 3rd app was introduced in that environment and it was shared with both users. And what we got here is that Alice already is not able to use the 3rd app under the same license. She has to get an additional app pass. And it's possible to stack them up. It's just you start using app and it's just deducted from your environment and that's it. Now for VA, that's fine. It's just 2nd app for him. So it still consumes 1 license. Additional scenario with the multiple environments. So let's say, imagine we have development environment and production environment. And this is really common scenario and maybe misconception with this per app licensing is that, okay, I just will do 2 apps and we have 20 users. So we have to buy 20 licenses. No, if the users will be doing testings and etc. So at least if half of the users will be doing tests, you will have to buy 30 licenses, 20 plus 10. So let's check the example again. So we have Alice. She's using 3 apps, 2 apps and a portal. Portal is a special case. 2 apps, Canvas model driven, and the portal from 1 environment. So she will consume 1 license. Now Zelda is using 2 apps from development environment and 2 apps from production environment plus a portal from production environment. So how do you think how much licenses she will need? Okay, so it will be 2 licenses. And the VA, he is using model-driven app from production, and the same model-driven app he's testing in development environment. But unfortunately, he will need to get 2 licenses because licenses are distributed and assigned per environment. Okay, so that was it with a per app licensing and all this distribution and etc. The model it's also might be needed for certification. Now Power Apps per user plan. It's just simple. 1 user, any apps, anything, unlimited, $40 per month. That's the easiest part. Now there is a comparison head-to-head of this per app plan and per user plan. So 2 apps plus portal, everything unlimited. This is the same. if you want to access Dynamics 365, there is a special set of entities or tables within Dynamics Dataverse database, which are restricted, and you can do only read-only things. It again, restriction is for a couple of core entities, just again to prevent you to build your own CRM or a copy of CRM for a lower license or something like that. Yeah, so flows, as I mentioned, it's not all, it's technically it's the same, but you can use it only in the context of the Power App. Now, also with those plans, you are getting different type of capacities, per license capacities, yes? So database capacity, Dataverse database capacity, per app plan, one app pass gives 50 megabytes, one user gives 250 megabytes. Then Dataverse file capacity, 402 gigabytes. Daily API request limits, 1K and 5K. API request limits I already was putting in all those, like a resource in all those boxes. Now, AI Builder is not included, so it's just as a capacity add-on. It's available here. Okay. Yeah, so this is just a bit of explanation what Power Automate within app context means. This sample that let's say we have built an app with a standard Power Apps license, which connects to a SQL database as the data source and includes flows that read from the SQL database or flows are being triggered from that SQL database. Then all is fine. What's not within app context is that you build such app with a, let's say, Microsoft SQL database, but with a flow, you want to do triggers from Oracle database or access it and etc. So this is treated as not within app context, and you have to purchase a separate flow license for that. Now portals. Portals are, of course, the primary purpose for portals are to expose your Dataverse data to external users. Yep, those which are not your Office 365 users, not within your tenant. And these are different type of self-service portals. It could be authenticated when you are creating users, or they are you're using connectivity to, I don't know, Azure users, Google accounts, Microsoft accounts, and etc. Or it's local accounts, but they authenticate. That's one approach. Unauthenticated, it's like knowledge base. You just publish, let's say, your product catalog to the web. You build extensive product catalog in your CRM, let's say, and you want just to expose it for others to search, to browse, and etc., and keep always up to date. So this would be unauthenticated scenario, and then it's a different pricing. So yeah, you have to buy this. This is available as add-ons just to run the Power App portal. And because yeah, you can create, but in order to run, you have to get those add-ons. There are different tiers, let's say, for external, for logins. It's monthly unit capacity, like 100 logins. Again, more you buy, cheaper it is, and etc. There's also a case for portals for internal users. For For internal users, it means that again, employee self-service portals. Yep. Against some kind of standard scenarios, your employees have to submit hours and to CRM or to, I don't know, Business Central or somewhere. You can get the connectivity to Dataverse and make a portal, and it will be like internal usage. But then for internal users, it's also covered by standard Power App or Dynamics 365 licenses, where it's included. Yeah, it's aligned with the custom app usage rights. So yeah, for externals, it's this way, and there is a login session. It's like one ticket for 24 hours. If you come next day, it's new kind of login, and yeah, it just calculates how many logins users make. Yeah, so but with this, be careful, because there are lots of kind of feedback from partners that it might get really expensive, and again, you never know how much external users you will get, and etc. Now the default capacity. Yeah, you remember we had database and API limits. So let's check into those. What are included in Power App licenses? So Dataverse, which used to be called Common Data Service, it consists of three levels of capacity or three capacity areas. Historically, when it was still a CRM and at the early beginning of Common Data Service, it was one number for database, and it was big pain with the files like email attachments, documents, and etc. because this database extension was pretty expensive. And there was lots of solutions how to export those attachments, move them to SharePoint, to Azure Blobs, and etc. Now Microsoft listened, and they separated into three layers, and those capacity levels comes separately. So this is regular database, relational database, any attachments, files, and log. It's about how your database is changing from one versions to another, that standard database thing. Now, how it looks like in those Power Apps plans. So it's important to note about the difference in those columns. First, you get shared entitlement per tenant. Tenant is the top thing above your old environments. I don't know, like One Click Factory, for us, it's our tenant. And within One Click Factory, we have default environment. Then we have, I don't know, CRM production, CRM development, test, and it could be much more environments, and etc. So it's combined through all environments on a tenant level. Yep. So by default, that if you get one of those plans, your tenant, it doesn't matter how many users, it's just at least one user is in your tenant gets Power Apps license, you automatically get this default 10 gigabyte database. And then for each user, licensed user, it's also assigned respectively like 250 megabytes for per user plan. So the first user, one user in the tenant, it will be 10 gigabytes, 250 megabytes for your Dataverse environment. Respectively for file capacity and log capacity, it's not included in user and in user entitlements. Now, if you are ending up for capacity, you feel that you need extension, you're stuck. So of course there is no limitation, and you can buy capacity add-ons for the database, and one add-on, capacity add-on per month. It gives you yeah, it gives you, I'm not sure, is it $40, 40 megabytes? I have to check. Yeah, but all the one add-on, it gives you additional gigabytes for your all the layers of your database. Now per app plan, it's a bit smaller. Again, default capacity is only 1 gigabyte, and every user or every consumed app pass gives only 50 megabytes. And then everything is accumulated and you have total amount. So let's say this is sample. This is one sample, how it looks like. This is just from admin portal. It shows summary. It shows all those database file and log capacities, how much it's used. And then it shows this default tenant assignment, like 10 gigabytes. And then 2 for log 24 files. And then out of all user licenses, which are licensed in this tenant, we additionally are getting 22 gigabytes of additional database capacity. And it's full enough for all the environments we have. Okay. Yeah, another part is request limits or API capacity limits and etc. So this is pretty technical, and since like database capacity, it's clear, you see how much you have. When it's ended, you can buy additional capacity. It works well. Now with this API capacity, calculation is kind of kept in all the licensings everywhere for a while, maybe a year, but it's still in the transition period. Microsoft already promised a couple of times of promised to introduce the tools where you can follow all those capacity consumptions and etc. And buy those additional capacities for API limits. But this transition period is not ended yet, and I was trying to ask if there are any estimates, and during the last official presentations, there's still no clear vision when it will be let's say enforced, because today it's probably somewhere calculated in the background. There is no clear dashboard given to the admins, and there is capacity add-ons for this you can buy, but you can't assign for regular users. At least it's stated in the documentation. So you can assign it to I think to application users, or those, let's say, administrative users, maybe for integrations mainly, but not for regular users yet. So, and this is kind of some kind of Easter egg, because today you are getting it, you see some numbers in the licensing, but you don't know how much your users are consuming, and you don't know if they're exceeding or not. Maybe if they're exceeding a lot, then administrators probably are getting some emails, but it's not physically enforced that, okay, now it's stopped executing some request for that user. At some point it will, and it will be a bit harder to calculate and estimate and etc. And yeah, for all the technical people, it will be a bit of a nightmare to think how to effectively use all those API limits. Now, in some places it's called API capacity, API limits. In some it's called request limits, because it's a bit broader thing than API. So what it is? So for Power Apps, it's all API requests to connectors and Microsoft Dataverse. So if you are in Canvas app, so any, I don't know, data fetch from Dataverse from any other connector, it's one API call. For model-driven app, it's a bit different thing, so we'll get here. For Power Automate, again, all connectors, HTTP actions, built-in actions, like if you assign variables or something, also treated as request limit. It means in Power Automate, every step is counted against this request limit. And if you have the API calls, so like connector calls, and it does some retries, let's say inside. It failed once, it retries a couple of times. Every retry is also calculated against that. The failed responses, you try to call, you get an error, it's still calculated against because maybe system don't have data or something. Now the Dataverse. So every single create, read, update, or delete operation, also assign and share operations, initiated by user or system request and etc. They also consume one API call. So nice thing is that if Canvas app or Power Automate calls the Dataverse, so it's only one API call is consumed, because normally it would say a Dataverse operation and also a connector operation. So in this, it's nicely aggregated. It's only one, not two. Also, if you're using APIs from external, then again, also if you are doing the combined API calls, it's possible to kind of combine many requests in one. It doesn't help because it even adds one API call on top. It maybe save you some performance, physical performance, but from API, it will be one action extra because it one request, but inside there will be like 5 or more operations. So if you are coming from CRM world, all the plugins, workflow activities, and etc., when they go to database, perform these Dataverse operations, it's also calculated. So there is no way how to find the hole or something how to overcome this. The only good part that today is still not enforced. I'm not sure. It says probably if you really heavily overuse it, you probably will start getting emails, but they're still not blocking it. At some point, Microsoft promised that they will give the good dashboard where you can follow it, and then you can manage and buy all the add-ons and etc. This is the table. So one more thing, that those API capacities, which we are seeing here, is per user for one user. So let's say I'm using Power App. It loads data for me. It does reads. It does updates and etc. I'm consuming all this thing. Of course, normal users would probably never exceed it and etc. It mostly probably the heavy question for all the integrations and system operations. And this API request is calculated in a 24-hour window. So, and it's not carried over to another to a next day and etc. If you consumed, you haven't exceeded it, that's fine. If one day you haven't used, so next day it wouldn't double. There are many kind of rules and exceptions around this. So probably if you come to this and when it will really matter, we'll have to go and do calculations and etc. But let's say, this is the sample how one user of standard Dynamics 365 enterprise application gets 20,000 of API requests per day. Professional 10, team member 5, per user plan 5, Power Automate per user plan 5, Office licenses 2, Power App per app plan 1,000 per app pass. not non-licensed users, there is a separate table. You can find it in the description. I haven't pasted it here, but then for all the users which are going into integrations and etc., it's just calculated out of types of which license you have. And it seems that today it's possible to, for those integrational users, to buy these capacity add-ons if you exceed it daily. Yeah, and there's also explanations that if you get a different type of licenses, then it will sum up. Let's say if you have enterprise application and Power Apps application, it will sum up to 25,000. But if you had sales enterprise and you will get a customer service enterprise, it's not summing up. Okay. And this is the capacity add-on before when I was showing the database capacity, there was a column showing that you can buy additional database capacity, and this is capacity add-on where you can buy this extend your request limits and etc. So this is capacity add-on, and you are getting 10,000 daily API limits additional. You can buy them more if needed, and it should be assigned for the user. So it's for one user. Since database, it's for the whole tenant. Okay, now we are switching to Power Automate standalone plans. So Power Automate per user. It's as somebody mentioned, it's old good Microsoft Flow license. So one user, unlimited flows, and etc. Also possibility, there is possibility to buy Power Automate per flow license, but there is a special case that you should purchase minimum 5 flows. You can't buy one. Like for per app plan, there is no limitation. You can start with like 1 app, 2 apps, 3 apps, and then probably you will go, because the cost is the same, like $40 for per user plan. Here you should start from $500 per month since beginning. Yep, and the new thing is robotic process automation, and this plan is called attended RPA. So just a minute, I think there will be a slides about that. And the main thing that it includes everything what's there, so you don't need to have them additionally, and it has all the robotic process automation capabilities of creation and execution in attended way, and plus a credit of artificial intelligence, because robotic process automation is heavily connected to scenarios where artificial intelligence is needed, like form processing, object recognition, I don't know, business cards scanning, and etc. Okay, now in the details, Power Automate per user plan. It's simple, standard, unlimited. And yeah, you are getting daily API request 5,000, what we already discussed. You can create as many flows as you want. You can run them in parallel, doesn't matter. Now, per flow plan, yeah, users don't need to be licensed. And 5 purchase, 15,000 API requests for one flow. And also a note that child flows are not counted to this scenario. So child flows is, if there is a main flow, it can call many flows itself. It can start some sub flows. So this is not counted. That's nice. And this scenario, probably it might be useful if you are doing some integrations. It's totally unrelated from users and etc. And then you can compare and think that maybe we are doing heavy integrations for big organization. It's disconnected from users. Let's say we push the data from our SAP database every night to Dynamics CRM or somewhere, and yeah, that might be useful. Okay, and now robotic process automation. This is new in the Microsoft world. There is a new plan, etc. API request 5,000, the same as standard. Amount of flows is unlimited. There is one attended bot, and there's no metering or caps on flow runs. Now, what is attended, unattended? Attended, it means that the robot connects to your session, which is running on your Windows machine in general. It could be Windows client, or it could be Windows server. There should be a user who is logged in, and there should be an active session. So the launch of this attended mode can be done from the cloud flows, from the flow. Let's say every morning we want to start and run the attended flow. Of course, I can do it on my own machine, which means if I'm working and then in the morning the cloud flow will kick in the trigger, and it will launch the robot on my computer, and it will steal my mouse and will start doing something. Of course, naturally, probably the scenario is that there is a special machines which are somebody is logged in, it's just locked, and nobody's using. They're just for that purpose, and then this is attended mode, and it's only one bot. Now, unattended, it means that you don't need to be logged in to that machine. You just provide credentials, and the robot will go to that unattended. It will log into the to that machine. It will start the session, and it will start executing itself, like open some apps, do some requests, update something, check something, and etc. Then it will finish, and it will stop working, disconnect from that machine, and that's it. And then you can run, in order to run this unattended robots, you have to buy that additional unattended robot bot add-on. So none is included. So it's only one attended bot is included. It means it can run in running session in running PC. Otherwise, you can have many machines somewhere in Azure, or I don't know, in your computer, where it will start login, will start sessions. So this is unattended, and you can, I don't know, buy hundreds, thousands of those unattended robot bots, and you can run 1,000 sessions in parallel. That's the concept of difference of attended and unattended. Did I answer it?
Now we have a few more questions, if you can see.
Mm-hmm. Where did we stop?
All of them at the bottom.
Okay. let's start from the bottom. 2 more questions. For buying and activating Power Apps per app plan, it's needed to buy an Office 360. To buy an Office 365 license. Good question. Actually, never faced that. I couple of times thought of this, but not sure. So the main thing is that you need to have the tenant. So I'm not sure if you have tenant without Office 365. But it's better. I won't speculate. Let's check this question from official sources, and then we can come back to I think we can just all those questions sent as the follow-up to all the attendees who attended today. Augusta, if you can just note who was requesting. And
Yes, I will.
Okay, license per user version. If different environments, dev, prod still needed to license. Per user, no. For per user, it's not needed. You can access many environments and etc.
Sorry,
Yep.
I think I should clear it, because
Mhm.
when you showed the presentation, there was kind of simulation that there is in environment one user using app, and if the same user wants to use the different app in the different environment, you should have 2 licenses.
Yes.
Because it is like an environment based as on top. So
Yes.
So
Okay.
2 or 1 license?
Yep. Let's clarify that. Yep. So first thing that we have 2 types of licenses. First is per app, other is per user. Yeah, physically both are per user, but this is just limited more to one set of that 3 combination of 3 apps for one solution. So all these diagrams I showed was about per app plan.
Okay,
which
so
is
per user it is not relevant.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So this is the per app plan and per user plan. Naturally, it's more expensive, so it's unlimited. So and this is since those app passes are distributed per environment, so it happens that you are limited to this at 2+1 in one environment because it's assigned in environment. In new environment, you again have to get a new pass for the same user. But for this, it's fully unlimited, many environments and etc. There are other things. We'll come back to dynamics usage because in dynamics user right scenarios, you are limited to environments. But we'll get back just soon to that. Okay, and here I think we were in the end of robotic process automation.
There was another question
Okay.
about the chat flows.
Chat flows are not counted in flow plans, but they do count in API requests called per user as data. Yes, this is not excluded. It just this per flow plan is you buy 5 flows and you can have 5 master flows, but inside there could be many child flows reused between those 5 and etc. But all those steps, execution steps, will be counted, and also the launching the child flow that was also will consume one API call. But you saw probably that this per flow plan includes much bigger amount of API calls. It's 15,000. Yeah. Okay. So robotic process per user plan, RPA. Power automates all plans. Per user plan, per user with RPA, per user per flow plan, minimum 5 units. Yeah, so they can run flows. Attended desktop flow only in this RPA scenario. Unattended flows only with the bots as additional add-on. And also it can execute an attended as well. When automation desktop automation client capabilities, this is when automation is the product Microsoft acquired last year from Softomotive, and which became, because Microsoft was trying to develop its own RPA version, but later they acquired other company, and they integrated it, and that the name of that product was Win Automation. So it's explicitly listed, but this is just desktop flows. Sharing and collaboration, yes. Connectors, all yes. Dataverse storage, yes. The capacities, and you see this per flow plan includes 15,000. Now in Office, like Windows, this new addition I mentioned, it has attended desktop flow. Of course, in the exception that you cannot store it in the cloud, it's only on your desktop and etc. Because normally attended flows you author, you store in the cloud, you can share with other users, with colleagues. It's visible in the dashboard and etc. You can call it from cloud flows and etc. And this scenario, it's only for personal use. Okay. This is unattended RPA add-on, which is the bot. So you have to buy each bot individually. It's $150 per month. And actually, it's not. We already had a couple of cases where we're helping partners to calculate and etc. Actually, I don't know that the pricings of competition in this RPA world, but the feedback we heard that it's pretty on the good side for Microsoft. And in the bot, actually, it's the nice part is that all these robotic process automation scenarios, they are not limited in amount of flows you can create. You can have thousands of flows. It just limits you in amount of bots, how many bots you purchase, so many flows you can run in parallel at the moment. You can run flows one after each other. So one is finished, you start another. Everything is controlled by Cloudflow. Yes, so Cloudflow is kind of controlling process for that. And you can just, one is finished, you start another, and you can just run it endlessly. You just can't do in parallel. If you want to get them in parallel, you just buy additional bots. And of course, you're supposed to have somewhere machines where to log in. Maybe it will be Azure virtual machines. Well, maybe it will be servers or desktop computers on site. Yeah, it's possible to connect through data connectors to on-premise machines. So that's yeah, also possible to do. AI builder. So the only place where it's included, it's in this RPA robotic process automation plan. For all others, you have to buy it as add-on. and it's 500 per month. And artificial intelligence, it's calculated in credits, so 1 million credits. And there is a special calculator where you can calculate how many those credits you might need. Power Virtual Agents, there's a special plan for that. If you are really planning to build chatbots, like include into your website or run the internal chatbots, then yeah, you have to buy this dedicated plan. Of course, if it's internal for Teams, you might utilize this Teams version of Power Virtual Agent, which is coming with an Office license. This is mainly for public usage. And it's calculated in chat sessions, and you can run like 1,000 chatbots. It includes all this Dataverse capacity, API limits, 30,000 API request limits, and it can have the flows which supports the execution of this, because virtual agent, it has the models combined internally where it just tries to answer something, but with the help of flow, it can go and check something in the systems or update data or load data in the systems and etc. So your kind of customers in your eShop, let's say, can start asking about the products, and you can go pull the product data from CRM and show it to customer and give the answers to customer. And there is a special definition how it's calculated about the chat session. If it exceeds 60 minutes or 100 turns, the branching is in the logic. Then it starts another session and etc. And then those sessions are consumed. By default, it's 2,000, and then it's added on tenant level. And then if it's not enough, you can buy additional chat sessions in chunks per month for that tenant. Yep. So maybe just quickly run through the usage rights, because we now finished with the full licenses of Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. And now, again, turning back to what's included inside Dynamics. As I mentioned, there is the main difference between there is enterprise apps and other Dynamics apps. And enterprise are everything with the word enterprise, also field service, project service automation, everything on Axapta branch like finance, supply chain, and also Business Central. And they all get full Power apps and flows, which should be run in the app context. Now, where in Microsoft comparison, it says that all plans get Power App. So it's strange because here it says that run standalone apps is not supported for professional licenses or team member licenses. But again, I assume that this is they are pointing that you can embed Canvas apps. And all other things are supported. For professionals, you can modify only 15 tables or entities and use within the Dataverse. And AI Builder is not included. You have to purchase it additionally. And portals, yeah, it's not included in the professional, but it's included in enterprise. But of course, you have to buy this capacity add-ons. One more thing, yeah, this is note about the same environment. Dynamics 365 enterprise apps, you can run custom apps within same environment as licensed Dynamics 365 application. Okay, so if we talk about CRM-based apps, then it's easy because CRM itself runs within Dataverse environment. So it's clear. One Dynamics environment, or it could be even more because there is Dynamics, let's say, production, test, development, and etc. So in each of those, you can run Power Apps. Now, when it comes to Business Central and finance and operations, then there is a special cases. It says that don't see the fourth. Okay, so for finance, supply chain management, and all the Axapta-based business apps is defined that same environment is the one to which dual write feature is configured. So there is a Dataverse environment, and then there is Axapta environment, finance and operation, and then you enable integration on the database level. Then it's treated that this is the same. For Business Central, it's treated that the same environment is the environment that includes one or more Power Apps that integrate with Business Central. So it means that can be many environments. You just host Canvas app, model-driven app, and you just connect them in some form to Business Central database, and it's treated as licensed usage. Of course, you logically it should be connected to Business Central, and etc. Yeah, Power Automate. Yeah, everything within the context of Dynamics apps. Again, if it's professional, it's only 15 entities to modify within custom entities within the Dataverse. This is that table I was talking about, and I marked that. Okay, the professional ones don't include Power Apps in full capacity. It's really probably just embedded scenario and limited one. Now, Power Apps for Office 365. Power Apps for Office, Canvas Apps Unlimited. We don't have model-driven apps, only standard connectors, the long list of licenses, Dataverse for Teams, which can be used, and Power Automate usage rights, again, can be used with the Office license. And the Office license, we are getting 2000 API limits, mainly for Flow, because there's no Dataverse, and also Canvas app usage. Yeah, Power Automate for Office 365, all the flows, standard connectors, no premium and custom, and Dataverse for Teams, and API request to 2000. Power Virtual Agents for Teams, which you should deploy within the team in this new model. And it's unlimited sessions for your internal chats, and 2000 of API limits. This is big table of Office licenses, which includes Power Apps and Power Automate and etc. It's already repeated. I had it before. And this is Power Automate for Windows. Again, just reminder that robotic process automation is now available on any Windows device with a Windows license. That's it from my side. Tomorrow we are having the workshop about Power Platform architecture. So those who are coming, so see you there. And we again will get back a bit to licensing there, because architectural decisions also depends on that. So now let's take a look into the questions. Okay, no new questions. Did I miss anything?
No, I think we are fine. All those questions copied here.
Okay. So if you still have any questions, you can ask and those couple of minutes. If not, then yeah, it was pleasure to share with you all those details. And if you need assistance during your engagements with customers and etc., so reach out to our CSP colleagues, and we'll be happy to help you with your customer cases. And Power Platform is really not an easy one. It's lots of dependencies, cross dependencies, and also technical things like API limits and database sizes and etc. Good. So thanks a lot, and see you tomorrow for coming to architectural session.